This is Lizzie from Let Zoe Spoil You.
And Sagira from Sagira Salutes You. And together, we are Newbie versus Weeaboo. Sagira, Newbie.
Lizzie, a Weeaboo.
It's Newbie versus Weeaboo.
We're back. It's been a couple of weeks. Remember how we said that we're going to do this more often?
We've been doing it every 2 weeks.
We've been doing it every 2 weeks. We've only done one.
And it's been 2 weeks. And this is the second one.
We want to get them out more though, surely.
Well, we need to come over and do like loads of them in one day.
Yeah.
We were distracted today. Next time you're going to come round and I'm going to make you watch like 3 films.
Fab. We'll have to get some gluten-free pizza and make a night of it.
Yes. Yum, yum, yum.
Yummy. Okay, so should we get on to the anime at hand?
Yes, let's
Okay,
go.
let's do it. So my synopsis for this one is The Beast is a Beauty. And that's it.
I mean,
That's
you
not
say
just
that about lots of things. It's not really such a synopsis as a random, like, oh, I've observed this.
It's an observation. The Beast was a beauty. Okay, there's a reason for it, but you introduced it.
Well, today I chose for Sagira to watch the first 2 episodes of the Vampire Princess Miyu OVA.
It was really good. I did enjoy it. The reason why I say The Beast is a Beauty is because the way it's set up and everything, the film, part 1, is that you have this misconception that it's going to be a guy vampire. Just because that's what you immediately think when you think vampire. You think man going around
and it's all
young women.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then it's not a man, it's a little girl. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, that came out of left field. I mean, it's called Vampire Princess, so you know it's going to be a little girl. But, like, if you didn't know the title or anything, you just went by what you first saw. Yeah, you'd assume it was a bloke. But also they kind of misdirect you with the counterpart demon guy.
Oh, Lava.
Yeah, with Lava, because he's hanging around her as well. And from the opening, you get the waft of something.
Yes.
And they make him look tall, and they make him look ghostly.
Yeah.
And, yeah, you think, oh, that's the vampire. But then it's not. It's this little girl. So I think the way that they've set it up and the way that they want you to see it before you actually get into it is actually quite clever.
Yes. I'm going to disagree with you there.
Why? You have your own opinions.
I was like, yes. Obviously, because I'm going into it having watched it, so I already knew. And I already knew about Vampire Princess Miyu. So I went into it already knowing that there's this female vampire. So when I watched the first episode, I'm like, okay, there's a vampire in town killing women, and they're setting it up so that we all think it's Miyu, but it's not Miyu. And that's kind of like where the setup falls for me.
When it opened, it kind of looked like a storybook. The way it was, and then they were, oh yes, there's a princess who pricked her finger, and it's like, oh, Sleeping Beauty. You know? So it was kind of fairy tale-esque to start with. Were they meaning to do that, or was
I think
just...
this might be your first time kind of delving in the genre that I call dark shoujo.
Okay.
And shoujo means like anime and manga for girls. And the art style is slightly different from the stuff that's designed for boys. You'll notice that they're not all wandering around with rather large breasts. And,
that's
you know, they wear more clothes. And when they aren't wearing a lot of clothes, they point out the parts of the female body that is very attractive to the male gaze, but also the most feminine. So you'll notice how many shots there are of Miyu, so you can see her neck, because a lot of the time the neck was meant to be one of the most beautiful parts of the female body. It's why in geisha culture, the geishas all have their hair up and the neckline is lower, so you can see that lower part of the neck. Plus there's a lot of shots of her long, lovely feminine legs. So it's kind of eroticised for either view, but also in a feminine, softer way. And of character designs of like the eyes and the boys. The boys are very pretty and attractive. I mean, whenever they focus on a male character to follow, he'll be a pretty one. And it's all part of shoujo. And shoujo, because essentially was created for girls, they portray it in a way that would be more appealing to women. And shoujo came about because back in the day when they were trying to educate young girls in Japan, they brought across stories that they thought would educate young women, such as, you know, Little Women, any other fairy tales, like so Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty, Hans Christian Andersen fairy tales would all have been there, and other ones were Alice in Wonderland. The shoujo genre grew out of these stories for girls to help educate them, getting reappropriated by manga and then anime artists to make fairy tales for women that's set more in a Japanese world. I mean, dark shoujo is just those ones where they get a little darker.
Yeah, and the other thing that I noticed with this was, if none blonde girls in this, they're all dark-haired, truer to what it would be in that area of the world, like brown hair or black hair.
Yeah.
That stand out a lot. And also, for some reason this time, what was her name? Imika. Her eyes really stood out to me, because they weren't like these giant light brown eyes. They were more of a natural darker brown, and that stood out to me a lot more, and it was more realistic of what a woman would look like rather than bright brown glistening eyes.
Yeah, this one very much falls much more into the aesthetic of realism, but also with the aesthetic of the shoujo genre. I mean, they've got beautiful eyes in this and such delicate features. And the hair, I mean, the artwork and the art style of this is some of my favourite. This is the genre that I love the most. I love dark shoujo. It's my bag. But and this is one of the first ones I watched where I went, this is different, this is pretty, this is also making me feel kind of sensual and kind of like there's something beautiful and moving and attractive about this. As much as I like the other ones for all their various reasons, this one felt more personal.
After the last one that we watched, and we noticed that in the sub version there was a lot less obvious things that had been said and been done. What I noticed in this one, which I picked up on, was with the little girl lying in the bed, there was like a Darth Vader type breathing. Now, was that to tell us, oh, she is alive, she's not dead, she's just breathing heavily? And if so, was that in the original, or did they add that for the Western audience?
I mean, it sounded like they dubbed heavy breathing on it.
Yeah.
But normally when you get breathing like that, because the minute I heard that breathing, because I'd kind of forgotten the plot, so I knew there was Vampire Princess Miyu, but I didn't remember what happened. I was like, okay, so someone in that house is possessed, because that's what you hear when you hear The Exorcist.
Right.
It's that otherworldly, there's an extra layer of breathing on top. Whether it's in the dub, it sounded a little bit more heavy-handed in the dub version. I think they would have done the same for the sub version, but less heavy-handed. I mean, we didn't rewatch the first one subbed. We did the second one to get a better idea of it. And again, sub version was better than the dub. The dub version has some of the most awful voice acting.
Well,
I was like, ooh, that hurt.
That's leading on to my excellent voiceover, as always, when we saw the first guy and he was like, I'm waiting for the vampire, and it's like really over the top.
I know, and then it's like, da-dum-dum beat. And then I forgot the rest of the line. Oh, yes, she lives here. And you're like, they're just dramatic. Everything is either too dramatic when it doesn't be, or because they're trying to match the lip movements and the languages are so different, they kind of go, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, blah. And it's like, yeah, no. And what was that awful line for the brothers? Like, well, you've made Mother mad now. And you're just like...
well, Mother's upset again.
It's like, all right. But it's like, I'm pretty sure that's not what it would have sounded like, you know.
Yeah, it would have been more like upsetting rather than, well, you've done it again.
Yeah, done it again.
Well done, dum-dum.
Terrible voice acting.
It does sound like it's played for comedy without it being a comedy.
I know.
Which...
And all the girls sound extra bitchy and whiny
Yes.
rather than natural, like, girl talk. They're all like, and it's like, oh, shut up. Girls don't talk like that.
Especially at that age.
Yeah.
They sound like they're much older
than
they should be.
Obviously, because America and stuff doesn't have child voice actors, and their voices don't have as much of a childlike quality as Asian professionals, because obviously the voice acting thing has been around so there's professionals in that field that have trained their voices to do different tones and different accents depending on the characters. In America, there would have just been straight dubbing, and it would be just the voice of the person without any kind of real education on how to use it.
What I also like about this is they turn vampirism completely on its head. Like, nothing's working. The cross doesn't work. The garlic doesn't work.
Yeah.
Sunlight doesn't work. Holy water doesn't work.
No.
So it's like, what is going to kill this girl? And that's what is so good about it, because if someone pulls out stakes, it's like, well, will that kill her? We don't know, because she's completely different to normal vampires. And that's a hook of this series that is like, well, how...
Yeah.
If they do get rid of her, how are they going to do it? What is her weakness in this?
Yes. The whole thing is that these are not Western vampires. This is vampirism as displayed through a Japanese lens. The actual mythology on this is kind of like a mixture of Western and Japanese, because it's got the traditional elements in like Japanese horror and stuff, but some of the Western mythology of demonology stuff. If you find out a demon's name, you can then own it, and you can also banish it, but you need to find out a demon's name to be able to have power over it. And they use that in this, but then they also call them Shima. And
Yeah, I was
give it
going to
their
say,
own...
is there a difference between Shima and Shinigami? Is there a difference between
Okay,
Shima and
yeah,
Shinigami?
Shinigami is a whole different thing.
Okay.
Shima in the word is what they're using for a particular race of demons that is preying on humans.
Okay.
So you've got to remember in Japanese culture, demons there's so many different ones, because you get a demon, you would get an Akuma, which is a devil, you would get an Oni, which is the ogre child, the Oni child is an ogre child, an ogre, you get the yokais, and they all share existence. So Shima is one of the creatures within this other world, and the Shima, which are the race that seem to have these black cloaks and masks, like to possess souls and devour them, and Miyu's mission in life is to banish them all back to the hellscape they came from, so they wouldn't eat people. Unfortunately, she also does need to eat people to survive.
And is that what her beef is? That they're taking all her souls?
Yes. She's got double beef in the fact that that's kind of like, she's got a mission in life and that's her purpose for existing, is to banish them, but she doesn't like the fact that they seem to go after the people that she wants to go after, because they're both of supernatural things. They're like-minded in their tastes and stuff.
Something that I really liked about this was the mix of fashion. Like,
Yeah.
I got it mostly in the first one. You got Miyu, who's very traditional with the kimono, the shorter kimono, and her hair's all done up in ribbons and things,
Yeah.
and the flowers, and it's really pretty. And then you've got Himiko.
Yeah.
I really liked, she was wearing a blue top with like a crisscrossed belt.
Yeah.
It's quite 80s, but like futuristic 80s. You know, it's like, this is the...
It was Japanese 80s. So,
Oh,
you
fair
know.
enough. Right. Well, there you go. She was very modern and of the time.
Yeah,
so,
she was.
But I liked that as well. So I was like, oh, the fits and fashions in this are really quite stunning.
Yes, the Japanese, like the 80s fashions, because she would have been an older woman, so she wouldn't have quite... 'cause I believe this came out early 90s. I'll have to double check on that one. But so... the fashion would have been changing from that 80s style to that 90s style. There was a lot of big shirts. Lots of big shirts over people.
A lot of the fantasy stuff, you'd have a man in the billowing white shirt.
Yeah.
And so they look muscular and thinner inside
Yeah.
the shirt, and dramatic. Drama.
Yeah.
Because it's drama. At the end of the first one, it kind of gave like a little message type thing
Yeah.
of Miyu wanted to cover up the pain by making people either die or put them in a fantasy world.
Yeah.
And then she was like, Himiko. She was like, well, no, I'd rather live through that pain.
Yeah.
And it's kind of teaching you that if you live through that pain, you can grow and live the experience.
Don't just escape from your
Yeah.
pain. You can't just go to escape, because you
Yeah.
can't. You can't go and exist in your own world.
Live through it, grow from it, and learn from the experience
Yeah.
of it, you know? And I think that's quite a good little... It wasn't like an in-your-face message,
Yeah.
like, this is what this is about, but you kind of got the gist of that, and I really enjoyed that. As
One of the things that I like about the horror genre, especially the Japanese horror genre, is there's so many layers of like social commentary, and it's just so many. And this, again, with Miyu, there's that whole bad stuff has happened. Do you escape from it? Do you accept it and move on? And who has the right to kind of decide that? If you have decided in yourself that you want to take the escapist way out, then who is anyone else to tell you no? But what happens if, like, say you want to take the escapist route? What's my role in that? What gives me the right to either stop you or not stop you? And it kind of plays in all of that, because she could have saved that little girl, but she could never have made her human. She would have died, but she could have turned her into a vampire, which is what Miyu was going to do. But then obviously Himiko stopped her, and so now Miyu is like, well, you took away her chance of having a continued life. How would you like that, really? Because Miyu, a little bit of a dick, you know.
Yeah,
But she's also a supernatural being and very old and has her own backgrounds and things to deal with. But I do like that. I do like it questioning who was really in the right.
Exactly, and the guy in it, he may have never experienced death before.
Yeah.
We don't know his history, we don't know anything about him, but that could be his first time experience in it. So obviously, if you're feeling that pain for the first time, you don't want to feel it, you want to get out. You don't know that there is life afterwards, like you feel like your world is crushing around you and you just want to escape, you want the world to swallow you up, and so you just don't feel it anymore. But once you've gone through it, it's like, no, there is life afterwards.
Yeah.
You know, we can go on, the world does keep spinning, and other things will happen, and it's up to you how it progresses.
Yes.
but you need to live it for the first
You need to-
time
yeah.
to understand that. Like, my first breakup, I was like, I'm never going to love again. That's it. I'm
the
done.
end. Yeah.
I'm done. And then I found my partner, and it's like, well, no, actually, there is.
There is more.
I had to live through all that pain and stuff to know how to go through this next relationship and to make it better. And so I totally am a person of, yes, it hurts, but you need to move on, for sure.
Yeah.
But other people may not feel the
No.
same. So, yeah. Experience. So we went on to part 2, and it was a freaky intro. I mean, mannequins are scary as it is. But the way that they did it was you questioned, are these mannequins? Are these people?
Yeah.
It wasn't completely concrete of what you were looking at.
No, yeah.
So it was very well done.
It's very well done, very well drawn. Yeah, the mannequins are very creepy. I'm not even that scared of mannequins, and I'm like, well, yeah, no, this is a bit not very
Like I said,
pleasant.
it's because they were quite realistic looking, so you were questioning what you were actually looking at. The demon girl, when you first see her, that would totally be my aesthetic if I was living
You
around
would
there.
look like a Hina doll.
Well, the fact that she had like it's my haircut most days anyway,
Yeah.
with the bob, the straight bob and the straight fringe, and I was like, yes, that's what I like.
Yeah, she was literally a living Hina doll, which is, I think when you become 4 in Japan, for girls, there's something called Hina Matsuri, and at 4 years old, you are presented your first Hina doll, and they have a big procession of Hina dolls and everything, and it's like one of your various coming-of-age transitions. But there's also, on the other side, rumour, folklore, maybe superstition, that Hina dolls' hair keeps growing and they're secretly alive and they live by consuming your energy.
Is that why they chose the demon to look like that? Because that's essentially what she's doing.
Yeah, that's why, because right at the beginning of the episode, they looked at some Hina dolls in the window and like, oh, Japanese dolls are freaky. And I'm like, no, dub. Those are Hina dolls. They are for a specific festival and a specific period in young girls' lives. They're not just all Japanese dolls. And she was basically living off that kind of folklore of it. And then with the added element of she was turning beautiful people into dolls.
Well, do you think that she chose the form, or that they based the doll off of that story? Which one came first?
Obviously, actually, the Hina dolls would have come first, but I think if you put it into that world, then maybe that demon came first. And then, although demons, once they enter the human realm, tend to choose their own form.
Ah, right.
So
she might have seen these dolls gone,
yeah, that's it.
And I like the
Especially when her
story.
powers are doll powers,
Yeah.
and she herself is a living mannequin.
Again, did she choose those doll powers, or did she already have them and go,
She
you
would
know
have
what,
had
that's convenient?
Yeah, no, she would have had those powers.
With the relationship between the demon and Kay, I kind of got, again, the subcontext of kind of sex, the way that he's like, make me young, like we should be,
Yeah.
and she's like, don't rush me. It's like, you can always say no.
Yeah.
Like, I was kind of getting that vibe. I don't know if I was reading into it or if that's what they were trying to get across.
I think
But that's what it felt
Yeah,
like.
beautiful thing about shows like this is you can see social messages within it. With the first one and the boy escaping, it could easily be like, well, he's taking drugs now to escape his pain, and that's why he's off into fantasy
Well, I
land.
did say to you, I was drugs. But
Yeah, it's like, you know,
there's nothing to
and
prove
this
that.
one, it could be that, like, it can be seen as he's pressuring her for sex and stuff, and she's just not ready for that commitment. You can easily read that into it. He was ready for more. I mean, their relationship is so interesting because you think that she's manipulating him so that she can turn him into a doll, but then it turns out it's nothing to do with that, and he's actually does love her, and he's going along with all that stuff just to be close to her. And then she's like, oh no, I don't love you, I'm just... And then obviously when Miu's like, well, I'll take him then, she's like, don't you dare take my things.
Yeah.
I do love him, and I'd rather him be turned into a doll and me forever than him survive but be with you.
Yeah. Bitches.
Yeah. It's one of those cases that happens a lot in these tropes and stuff, is the fact is you do not want supernatural beings falling in love with you and fighting over you. Otherwise you get Twilight, really.
fair.
And that was terrible. But, you know, that whole, like, it never ends well for you if you end up in a triangle between supernatural beings, especially jealous, petty ones that don't have human emotions.
On the second one, I was feeling a lot of things that I have experienced. So, for example, when they were in the haunted house with all the dolls and everything, I was getting Vampire Masquerade vibes. Like when you go into the basement and there's a plague and he's turning everyone into zombies and they're just scattered around everywhere. I was kind of getting that vibe from it. I was like, "Ooh, I'm enjoying this," because I can relate it to other things that I know. And yeah, it just made it a little bit more creepy as well. And that doll with its eyes like bulging out of its head was so freaky.
Yeah, when she falls forward and her eyes literally like fall out so she can become her true form, you're just like, that is manky. I mean, the Japanese do vampire mythology so well. They make it so beautiful but also creepy and just so nicely done. And this is definitely one of my favourite ones.
The second one, it showed... Well, it didn't really, because we watched the sub and it was a completely different context. When it was showing age appropriation, because... He walks by, Kay walks by, and...
Nico.
Yeah, he sees her and she... What was it she said in the dub?
Oh, in the dub she goes, wow, what a cutie.
Yeah, it was really pervy. It was
really cringy.
An adult lusting after a teen, which, okay, in Japan that might be okay, because age difference and everything from what we think is appropriate. But... in a dub, it's pervy.
It's in a pervy. There's other ways of it coming across, or just being like, they could have just not had the line since it was a monologue, and she could have gone, he looks familiar.
Yeah.
Or, you know.
But then we watched the sub, didn't we?
Yeah, and she literally just kind of goes, pretty boy.
Yeah.
It's like just a comment about the fact that, yes, he is pretty.
Well, we can say that when a child is pretty, like, oh, you've got a really pretty daughter.
Yeah,
like,
you know.
We can say it without being like, lusty. Like, no.
There's a difference between going, cutie, and, pretty boy.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, you're nice looking.
Yeah.
For, teenagers can be attractive. Doesn't mean that I want to bang the teenagers. I'm just like, I can tell you're an attractive person.
Yeah, and obviously throughout the whole of the second one, I'm guessing it's related to the dolls, is the kabuki theme.
Yes, I am not a big Japanese theatre expert. The only Japanese theatre I'm really excited by and really knowledgeable on is Takarazuka. But things like kabuki and I've never really followed. I know they are stage plays, I know they use masks or makeup, depending on which is the masks, and kabuki is the makeup, and the set movements to set rhythms. This one was definitely kabuki because they use the curtain they use at kabuki, which I can't remember the name, but there's a very specific curtain with very specific colours that comes down in kabuki shows, plus the dance movements, and those, there would have been rectangle blocks that they would have knocked together to make the sound effects. So it was very much steeped in that kind of theatricality. And also I think using dolls kabuki is very much about learning precise precision moves. It's not free-flowing, it's very precise and precision, and your arm has to be a certain height, a certain length, so you also automatically kind of look like living dolls when you perform.
So it all connects.
Yes.
Yeah. But if anybody does know what the curtain is called, please comment, because that would be interesting to know. Or if you know anything else about kabuki, that would be interesting. So the other thing that I thought this reminded me of was, because I now question it. So the kabuki music reminded me a lot of Majora's Mask from Zelda. And because they have those kind of instruments in it. And I don't know if it's meant to be related to kabuki. I mean, there's one where that sound effect, that is actually in it. And I think, is it when he's with the sword? He's going to learn how to use his sword. And they use that sound effect. That's nothing to do with kabuki.
Having never played a Zelda game, it's the one thing in the world of anime. It's like, wait a minute, you do nothing but watch anime and play video games and read manga, but you're not into Zelda. I'm like, no.
You don't have to be. You've got enough going on.
I've got enough, yeah. It's like, do you know how many Final Fantasy games there are? I'm still working my way through them.
Exactly. However, I grew up with Zelda, so that's why I'm...
It's never my thing. I think it is Japanese music, but I think I don't know enough about the theatre aspect of it, but I think certain sound effects are meant to convey certain feelings and emotions, so you know the story beats or what you should be feeling from the performance. If they're using it in Zelda, it's probably to make your brain associate it with a particular story beat or emotion you should be getting from that scene.
I need to play it again so I can properly associate it, and I can be like, that's related to that, that's related to that. But yeah, a lot of those instruments as well, it might, like I say, it might not be anything to do with kabuki, it just could be like they say, using the same type of instruments, so it's kind of gelling and sounding the same. We watched the sub, And, well, we watched bits of the sub.
Yeah.
And I felt that Miyu sounded not a lot older, but a little bit older. She sounded like she had experience in her voice.
Yes.
Like she's lived a life.
The things they did with Miyu and the other Shima girl, which I love, is through her voice, it wasn't an old voice, it wasn't
No.
a young voice. It was an untimed voice, which is the kind of voice you would have with a character that's looks like a girl and has lived for hundreds of years. And it was so much better because in the dub version they tried to make her sound like I'm a little girl.
Yeah.
And this one, she didn't.
I mean, yes, little girls in horror film, they can be freaky.
Yes.
But it's the way that you use it. Like this, she did sound like a young girl, but like I say, an experienced young girl. Like what she was saying, it wasn't all sing-songing up and down and hee. It was just matter of fact talking. Yeah. And I just felt like that suited the character a lot better than a little schoolgirl.
Yeah, they tried to make the dub gave it like this trickster, emotional, like I'm gonna play with you thing. Mm-hmm. And it's like, yes, that's part of her, but Japanese culture aren't quite that playful, like they're kind of more like, I know what you're doing, I know what I'm doing, and I'm gonna get the best out of the situation for me. The manipulation that comes with age and wisdom was more apparent in the sub.
And it's almost seductive, not necessarily in a sexual way, but seductive in a appealing kind of way.
Yeah.
You know, like you want to listen to her. What she's saying is interesting.
Yes.
And she knows what she's talking about. So, yeah, I found that. And yeah, as we said with the Shinima, she sounded younger, but still with experience.
Yeah.
Like it was odd that they were opposite.
She could also, tonally, she sounded younger and more human when she was interacting with the human characters and the boy. But as she was interacting with Miyu, that kind of otherworldly, ageless voice of something not quite human came through.
So it's more like she was fitting in.
Yeah.
Rather than being her the whole time.
Yes.
Yeah, which was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, sub. I mean, we couldn't find a sub in English, could we?
No, it's all subbed in Spanish.
Yeah, which we don't read.
Yeah. And luckily, like, some of the little bits, like, when I could understand it. Pretty boy, it's like, when you say kirei ko is boy and kirei is pretty. It wasn't exactly hard to get, well, she just said pretty boy, but it was also the tone in it. It wasn't like, pretty boy, you know, it was just pretty boy.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty boy. Matter of fact is what it sounded so matter of fact, and it's supposed to, what a cutie. Like, stop it, you lecherous weirdo.
But again,
I'm here.
But that changes the character, the way that you view them as well.
And it's like, I mean, I don't like you much because of being like, I'm going to get you, Miyu. And I'm like, you don't understand where Miyu's coming from. You understand nothing of this world. But I suppose that's the point. She's like, I'm going to get you. I'm going to come after you. And Miyu's like, you don't get it. Get back in your box. It's just leave me be.
Let me get on with my job, all right? Don't tell you how to do your job. Although she did.
Yeah. This is very beautifully stylised done. I mean, there's elements of style in it that you like. I don't know what the purpose of that was, but it looked pretty. Like the fact that she's got the shroud over her. Although to me, it always symbolises it's when there's a funeral in Japan and they wear the shroud things. But then they also wear that white shroud at weddings as well. So it's I think it's something ceremonial about the shroud. So, and then she uses it as a weapon to kind of fly it, and then it was like, oh no! And I'm like, what are you oh-noing at? Did your... But it seems like she threw that to kind of put a veil over him so she could claim him, but then the veil got rejected, and she was like, wait a minute, he rejected my veil? What power could possibly be more over you than mine? What is dominating you at the moment? It's obviously the Shima was dominating him.
So could the shroud in this instance, as my own interpretation, could it mean beginning and end?
Yeah.
Because if they wear it at weddings, that's beginning of a marriage and a bond. And at funerals, it's saying goodbye. So could it mean beginning and end?
Could do. It could mean
Look
cycles
at me.
Look at you theorising. You've been hanging out with me. Hey.
That's the point of this. Growing and learning.
Ooh.
So what shall we give it out of 5?
Oh, see, I love it. There's just something beautiful and central and tender, but dramatic and interesting. I mean, this might be the best one we've watched so far.
I think so. I've really enjoyed it. I'd like to watch 3 and 4 at some point.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go with 5. I'll be like 5, I don't know,
dolls.
Oh.
5 creepy mannequins.
3 creepy mannequins. I don't know, 5 ghost flames. Oh, I never really talked about the ghost flames. That's a very Japanese thing. The ghost flames are like a supernatural spirit flame that is used to purify evil spirits.
Okay.
Such as, and also when Himiko takes out that thing that looks a bit like a knife, that's a Buddhist, I don't know really, it's like, not an idol, because that's not the right word, but it's a Buddhist thing that's used to channel your energies, and you chant along with it to kind of, again, purify evil spirits. It's something from it's a religious artifact, that's it, that's used to purify things. There's a lot of spiritualism in this as well, and like kind of the culture colliding between Japanese supernatural and Japanese kind of religion and mythology.
Interesting. I like it. So, what are you going to choose?
I was going to get, well, only because Miyu's power is the spirit fireballs that she uses to purify the demons and write their names. Okay. So I'm going to go with 5 spirit fire. 5 cool. Spirit fireballs! Ball spirit fires! Spirit ball fires.
Fire. Okay, I will go with 5 as well, because like I say, I want to watch more, I want to learn more, and you said there's a TV series as well.
Yes. I think it's 26 episodes.
Yeah, so yeah, I would like to find that as well. I mean,
it's good.
Probably going to be hard to find for me, because I don't have Crunchyroll or anything like that.
It's not on Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll's not very good for like all the classic good stuff.
I keep mentioning Crunchyroll and you're like, nah.
So just stop bringing it up. Product placement is...
I'm not trying to product placement. I'm just trying to
I know.
where to find the animes.
Just don't worry. I used to have it all somewhere. I will go through my discs. I've got hundreds of them. Like, I say hundreds of them, more like thousands of them. from the days.
The collection.
Oh, God. Yeah, God.
Cool. So, yes, 5 hours for 5.
Yes.
Watch it. It'll be grand. This is very good.
Very good, very pretty. Yeah. Very otherworldly. It really knows how to do the otherworldly.
Absolutely.
Yay.
Yay! So, this, as we said, this is a new channel. We said it in our last one. We've decided to make Newbie vs. Weeaboo into a whole channel of its own. So please like and subscribe so we know that you want more, basically. We are trying to make this a thing.
We're going to do it. We're going to do it this time.
I mean, if we got popular enough, we could try and do a panel or something with it,
yes.
which would be really fun. I'd love to do that. But yeah, so please like and subscribe, comment, let us know if there's anything you'd like us to watch or any opinions you have on what we have watched. Would you like to shamelessly plug yourself?
I'm going to shame... Yes, I think today I'm going to use the purple one with the screw top end. Here it is now.
Ooh, that's a big one.
Oh, that's a good plug-in. But what I'm really going to talk about is my first novel, Song of the Night, is available on Amazon. It's available on paperback, Kindle, and on audiobook. It is a queer paranormal romance set in a dystopian future. It's got vampires in it.
And I've read it, it's good.
There we go. Yeah. Leave a review on Amazon.
I should leave a review on Amazon, that's correct. Anything else? Any social medias?
Aren't they just not going to be at the end?
They will be, but I like doing this. I'm trying to remember.
Oh, okay, well. I've also got a lot of social medias. At the moment, I am trying to get my Patreon looking a little bit more fancy, which is Let Zoe Spoil You. I've also got a coffee, which is Let Zoe Spoil You. You could also find me on Instagram at Let Zoe Spoil You. If you'd like to find out more about my book, my research, or my writing on Twitter, it's Let Zoe Spoil You. I do have a DeviantArt, but I don't update it as much, but I'm liking to saying it's Let Zoe Spoil You. Is that it?
I guess so. You've got a new Monday?
Oh, I've got a new Monday. You will never guess what my new Monday is. It is Let Zoe Spoil You.
Store. There's a store.
There's a store at the end. Yeah. I've also got Redbubble, which is Let Zoe Spoil You. Or you can check me out on YouTube as Let Zoe Spoil You.
Well, why not? That's straightforward. I should make all mine the same, but I don't know. I'd like to challenge myself, I find.
Okay. I just like to spoil people.
You really do. You spoil us. Ambassador with you. You are spoiling us. You have to start bringing out the Ferrero Rocher.
Yeah.
Just have a triangle of it in the background, and we'll just munch down on that.
Yep.
Let's see.
Still sounding a bit sexy. Do you want to just munch down on that? On my tray of Ferrero Rochers? Ooh. Who's spoiling who now? This got weird.
You got weird.
I got weird.
You released the weird.
I'll save that for some other videos.
Yes. Save it for the channel. I have a Twitter, which is @_Neek 87. I have so many numbers. I have 2 Instagrams. One which is for my arts, which is just cat13, just cats13, and I have one for my ragdoll Luna, which is baby_girl_Luna. And you can find all her fairy shenanigans on there. I have a YouTube, which is Sagira Salutes You. I have a New Monday, which is the Just Cats store. I have other things.
Patreon.
Yep, I have a Patreon, which is Just Cats. I have
Coffee.
lost my mind. I'll put it at the end. Here it is. Here's all my social media. Da, 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 da. That's what I'm doing from now on. From now on, it's just ping, here you go.
That's what we were going for. We said, no, we can say it. Wow, guess what mine is? It's Let Zoe Spoil You.
Oh, you business mogul, you. Just one name. One name to rule them all.
Yep. The only exception to that rule is my art Twitter, which is Zoe_let.
But that's because Let Zoe Spoil has been taken
Yes.
by your other Twitter.
Yeah. And it's still Zoe and Spoil. Well, Zoe Let.
Yeah.
It's Let Zoe.
But
Here's what I'm going to do.
If you type it in, both will come up. So
Yeah.
it's all good. Right, so after all the shenanigans from today, let's do our sign off.
Okay. Well, for now, it's Janny from me. Oh, am I
From
not...
a Weeaboo.
Oh, wow! No! I can't do it. I'm no good with this scripted response that I should have memorised by now. From a Weeaboo, it's Johnny.
And from a newbie, it's we finished at last. Bye.